What is up, everyone? I'm Jeff Lund, and this is the Mediocre Alaskan Podcast, where we are reporters of weak-minded attitudes that keep people from pursuing new and exciting things in the areas of fitness, outdoors, and general lifestyle. From the beginning, I've always wanted to give a voice to the local expert who might not have the same forum or the same exposure as the people with their own YouTube channel with millions of viewers and their own Netflix show or their own sponsorship. So I find that there's a lot of people around that know a whole lot, and it helps me to know that because as a mediocre dude trying to figure all this stuff out, it benefits me, but also talk to people who have great stories and insight and provide that for other people who are listening as well. So I really am encouraged, and I like it when people reach out and they want to tell their stories. They want a place to share it, and that's great. Love it. I reached out to my guest for episode 61, Ryan John. He's a hunter. He lives here in Ketchikan, so a local guy with a lot of local knowledge. Good dude, got his first Alpine deer with a bow, and so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about gear. We're going to talk about when you should upgrade, when you can upgrade, when is acceptable, I guess, as far as skill-wise, because sometimes we want to upgrade before we even have enough knowledge about what we're upgrading to or how this is actually going to enhance either our fishing or our bow hunting or whatever. So all that's coming up episode 61. Make sure you check out the mediocrealaskan.com for content, and here we go with Ryan John.
I think the first question here is, people have been asking about when Alpine season ends. And I always thought that it was August was kind of the Alpine, and then September was kind of the whatever month, and then you get ready for rut. But this year especially, seems like it's kind of different based on the weather. So when are you done with the Alpine?
Yeah, that's a good question. August, of course, is when everybody just goes out. September, it feels like it starts slowing down, and I don't know if this was just luck or what have it, but a few years ago, went up to the Alpine with a friend mid-October and actually ended up shooting one. And we didn't see much, but we did see two bucks up there, and I don't know if they were just traveling through the valley or that we were just glassing over, but we ended up shooting one up there. So I guess it just depends on how determined you are and just to see for yourself.
Yeah.
Of course, September, it starts turning awfully brown up there, and then everybody starts wondering what the heck they're eating. So,
exactly, yeah, that's what I would thought.
Yeah, I figured if there's no food up there, then why be up there? But maybe to be away from the predators, or I don't know. So it's kind of a tough one to answer and just hit it right on the head. So,
yeah. Did you camp up there, or did you camp low and then head up, or day trip? What did you do?
We camped up there, just did an overnighter. We started hiking in the morning and climbed up there. Of course, hunted the whole way up because it was mid-October, so we figured, there's a very good chance of us jumping one going up there, and jumped a doe, got up top and made camp, and glassed a little, and then woke up the next morning and ended up shooting one, and then that was pretty much it, and we hightailed out of there. So it was frosty up there for sure. And I can't remember how long ago it was. Probably, I want to say it was about 4 years ago. So,
do you happen to remember if summer kind of hung on a little bit, or if it was? Because it seemed like, I think it was 2 years ago that went up to the Alpine. It was over Labor Day, and I mean it had been kind of a cold August, and then that Labor Day weekend there was already. It already really started to turn, and so I figured it was kind of over at that point. But do you remember what that August was like leading up to that October? Or?
I don't recall off the top of my head. I do know it was just one of those, the weather looks good, so let's just go. Yeah. And we ended up going, and my friend didn't want to shoot anything. And it wasn't a very big deer, but it was still a deer for the freezer. So glad we went. We froze our butts off, and then ended up getting a deer, so nice. It was fun. And yeah, everything was brown, but so I don't know. I guess it all depends on weather and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
I think it does make sense that if something gets chased up and over the top, or it absolutely makes sense. They don't have to pick that one drainage they're going to be in for the rest of the year. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, how long you been hunting?
I've been hunting probably about since I was 13, 14 years old. Just recently, well, not recently, about 7 years ago, I started getting into it, and I used to take about a week-long Alpine trip, just take the truck over, usually with a friend, and then we'll just camp over on Prince of Wales sometime in late August, early September, and we'll just go hit some mountains. And last year, of course, it rained so much.
Oh,
so
terrible.
yeah, we still tried and got up there, couldn't see our hand in front of our face type of thing. So we come down, and for the whole week, it just rained and rained and rained. So we just hunted low and hung out in the cabin, and that was about it. So
yeah. There was one nice week. I think it was the first week. I came back over here. I had some buddies come up, and so we were over here for the opener, which obviously isn't nearly as good. This year, went to a different spot and got some. But yeah, that last August. Well, the whole summer was pretty bad, except for there was a week in June that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And that first week in August, but man, it was
record rainfall.
Yeah, and then this year, sun, warm, hot.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah. So you've been hunting for a long time, and then you just started bow hunting. How long have you been bow hunting? And you can go ahead and tell the story of the first Alpine bow kill.
Yeah. Just started. Picked up a bow in early April, and just decided. The past, I think 2 or 3 years, I haven't had a shot over 50 yards, and that's still with being in the Alpine. So it was about 50 yards, give or take. So I just decided to pick up a bow and learn as I go, and got certified for Alaska at the end of May, and then I went out and started chasing some spring black bears. Didn't have any luck. Saw a lot of black bears.
So your first kill, you were hoping, you were trying, was going to be a bear that's
yes,
jumping
sir.
right in.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I just wanted to get one, and that was all spot and stock. That wasn't over bait or anything. So we did see a lot of bears. I got within 50 yards of a decent bear, and then I got within 43 yards of a really big, nice bear, and that's when it. And I didn't get a shot off, and that's when it occurred to me that bow hunting is a little harder than I thought it was going to be, because one little 3-inch branch was just right over the vitals, and I couldn't get a shot off, and I had to watch this big old bear waltz right into the woods. So so I just started bow hunting. I guess in May, and I haven't even shot my rifle yet, to be honest, and. So, got everything. I'm shooting good from 20 to 60 yards. 60 yards is a little far for me, but I'm hitting. So, and then so for the last hunt I went on 2 weekends ago. That's when I got my first buck, and I'm gonna say it was subalpine. We were 1,900 feet in elevation, and The trip actually started out really good. We left the dock at before daylight. We took my boat out, and we're going to set some pots, and then we're going to climb this mountain and hopefully go see some deer. Well, we set our pots, and we watched this other boat go by up into the bay, and no way, this guy's not going into our spot. So we get done setting our pots about 45 minutes later, and then we start cruising up into the bay, and there's this boat right in our spot. So we're like, oh man, bummer. And so rather than messing with those guys, we go the opposite side of the bay, and we hunt around until we see that they're gone. Long story short, we actually ended up running into each other. They went the opposite way, so we ended up giving them a ride back to their boat because they were way down the beach. And then from there, we just started hiking up into the mountain after we put on our packs, and then we got up there. It probably took us about 4.5 hours, and it was thick. It was thick whole way up. For it only being 1,900 feet and 3 miles, it took us 4.5 hours. Yeah, it was rough. So made it up there, glassed from about 3 until the evening, and then had some dinner after the light sun went down, and then woke up the next morning. My buddy he took off on his side of the mountain, and then I went over to glass my side, and it was windy and it was a little chilly, but not too bad. And after about 2 hours of glassing, I didn't see anything, but I did hear some ptarmigan.
Nice.
So I kind of ignored them because if I did see a deer, I didn't want to blow the hunt by going after a ptarmigan. So about 2 hours I gave up and went back to camp and figured I'm going to eat some breakfast and drink some coffee. And let me see here. So I did that for about half an hour, and then I didn't want to leave completely empty-handed, so I decided, I'm going to go back down and try to find a ptarmigan. Well, grabbed my bow, and I had some judo tips. And just as I'm about to crest over the hill, this little buck is just down there, and he's feeding on some little shrub, and surprised me. And so there was a little window there. Pulled out my rangefinder, ranged him 17 yards.
Nice.
Ooh, right on. And so as I'm putting my rangefinder away, he looks up and he catches my movement, and then he just takes off in 3 hops, and by then the adrenaline is just pumping. So I just put my 40 pin on him, and it was probably about a 45-degree angle, and put my 40-yard pin on him, and let one fly, and he's broadside at this point. So then I pull back, draw back, and let one fly, and goes right over his back, and I can just hear the bushes behind him. Just my arrow just went somewhere into nowhere land, and he just stood there. So broadside. So I figured, if he's just gonna stand here, slowly reach for my rangefinder and range him again, 28 yards. So, and then it occurred to me, like, there's no way he jumped 20 yards just in 3 hops. So
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plans shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
put my 30 pin on him and got him that time. Double lunged him, so that was a good feeling. And I watched him jump away, and then he just kind of disappeared for a little bit. And that's when I was able to kind of put the pieces together from all the podcasts and from whatever I've read, from shooting the animal to hopping on the blood trail and recovering the animal. So it was really neat to see from letting the arrow fly to actually putting my hands on him. And he wasn't big at all, but when you put a bow in your hands compared to a rifle, I mean, you're losing so much yardage. I mean, with the rifle, I'm accurate out to 300 yards. So, and with the bow, I'm only accurate to 60. So, wasn't being picky, and so was able to get him and boned him out and put him in my pack, and off we went. So,
and when you talk about in that moment, your brain remembering something that you've heard or that you've read from podcasts or whatever, it's really important to do that, because you never really know what's gonna happen, and you don't know what's gonna come in your head. That you have the crazy buck fever and the making the absolute worst decision, but sometimes somewhere something just comes into your brain about what to do. I was this last Sunday, I was within 15 yards of a bear, and it was looking right at me. It was a pretty small bear. It was big enough to where I thought it could be alone, but small enough to maybe it was still with mom or something.
Yeah.
And I remember that Tyler Friel video where a grizzly's coming right at him, and he doesn't want to spook it by like yelling at him, and so he just calmly says, "Hey bear" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It startles the bear enough to make it run off rather than panic and charge.
Yeah.
And even though it was, a tiny little black bear, that just kind of came to my brain. I thought, oh, okay, here we go. Or you think of a Steve Rinella Meat Eater episode or something like that, and it's good to have that. And I think the people who think that they're experts and they have it all figured out and they stop learning, I think that's dangerous, and for younger people to not
kind of let their guard down a little bit and forget that that's still a black bear or any bear for that matter.
Yeah. It's easy for me to admit that I don't really know what I'm doing, which is nice to talk to people and go out there and get as much experience as possible. But I think some people, they're not willing to ask questions or ask for help or learn from those situations. They just want to go out there, be macho, and make the kill, never admit they missed a shot, and then do the post or whatever.
Yeah, so back to missing the shot. So I went out on opening day, and I brought my bow up with me, and we were in the Alpine again. And I don't know if you were out on opening day, but it was hot that day.
Yeah, it was.
And I got within 50 yards and took a shot with my bow, and I hit him, but it was a non-lethal shot. So I was like, darn it, that could have been the time. And it was a small fork again, but I've missed, so I mean, just part of hunting.
Yeah.
I mean,
to pretend that never happens is crazy.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I really like about the Meat Eater show, is that they show all that. There's the episode of Joe Rogan when Rogan hits a deer in the leg and it's non-lethal, and they never get it, and that just happens. But some of those other shows, it's all perfect shot and it's always great all the time, and it's not like that. And
sunshine and rainbows all the time. Yeah,
exactly.
That's not real life. So that's good that Steven Rinella shows that stuff. Shows that they're still human, even though they are so high. Everybody knows them. So it's good to. It's actually good to see people like that make a mistake and actually show it.
Yeah.
So
I think as a non-expert, it also makes it. I feel a little bit more comfortable in those moments.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I'm not. I don't know why, but it doesn't seem. I don't know. I feel comfortable knowing that I can do this. I'm capable of it. I don't have. I want to make the perfect shot, but just go through the steps, do everything you can to control, and make the best shot you can.
Yep.
What other stuff do you listen to, read, as far as getting knowledge and just enjoyment as far as outdoor hunting stuff?
So I listen to a lot of the Kafaru cast. I've actually learned a lot from those guys, just from the bow hunting side of things, and then the gear. I really like to dive into the gear side of things, which is bow hunting is so new to me. I just wanted to obtain as much as I can before I actually went out and tried to go for an animal and practice as much as I could. So I listened to a little bit of the Kafaru cast, and then just recently started listening to the Knock On, and then of course the Mediocre Alaskan, and there's a few others that I listen to. Watch a lot of YouTube videos, just gear, guys prepping for gear, food, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So just to see where I can critique my own system just a little bit more, for my own flavor, for whatever I like. So,
what kind of bow do you have?
I have a Diamond Provider. So, being a left-handed guy, took a trip up to Anchorage this last April when I purchased the bow, and there was a lot of left-handed bows on sale, and I gave myself a $500 budget for everything, for a release, a bow and some arrows, and that one just so happened to be on sale, and I picked it up. After I shot it a few times, those guys got it set up for me, and then brought it back. I really enjoy it. So
a buddy of mine has a Hoyt actually, two of my buddies have Hoyts, and I don't want to even touch it. Because right now, I have just the PSE starter kit, $325, whatever it is. And because I don't know any different, because I don't know... I think in order to get something really expensive, you have to have the basic knowledge of something that isn't as good. Otherwise, you don't understand what more you could want in a bow. If you start with the top of the line, you don't know how much better it is than everything else. So by starting off with a less expensive one that's not maybe quite as light or balanced or doesn't perform as well, you can't even appreciate it. Yeah. So starting off with that PSE, and I want to get some hunts under the belt, and I really want to be good with that. That way I can tell if maybe Hoyt matches me better or something else. Same thing with fly fishing. It wasn't until that I fished with a starter rod for a while that I knew, I kind of want a fast action rod, and, a Sage is going to be better. I might enjoy this more than something else. But
get a little bit something more with some quality to it.
Yeah. Have you already started thinking about upgrading, or are you...
So just recently, I've been thinking about upgrading. There's so many different bows, and from Bowtech to Matthews to Hoyt and Prime. Been looking at all those. I don't know if I will yet. I just got one deer. Of course, it would be nice to get a nice new bow, but I think I'm in the same boat as you. I got to get some more animals under my belt and practice more and just figure out what's right for me. And being in Ketchikan, it's really hard because we actually don't have a bow shop here. We don't have a Cabela's we can go to. We do have a Bowtech dealer in town, but I don't think he has a big. I don't think he has any selection right now. But I think he's working on it, so that is good. And I think he's trying really hard to try to get our tree going in Ketchikan, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's really nice at the bare minimum to have someone who's going to cut arrows for you, and that's so great. Without that, I don't know how active I would have been with getting started. But it would be nice if there was a dealer, because you can't. If I were to ascend to a level of being worthy of a Hoyt, they don't ship, do they?
I don't think they do. I think I have a. I know Matthews. I don't know this, so I shouldn't say anything. But I don't think that they'll actually ship to the customer. I think you have to go to them. So.
Yeah, I've heard that. I think
I've heard the same.
I guess that makes sense. Even if it's not true, I'm sure someone will be able to go, well, it is true or not.
Yeah.
People yell at I yell at podcasts all the time, especially when people are talking about Alaska and they say, "Oh, well, down in wherever," like, "Oh, that's not correct, incorrect," but whatever, it's fine. What about for optics? You run Vortex?
Yeah, I'm a big Vortex fan. Just they are good for the price. I'm not rich, but by any means, but so I'm running the Vortex 85 millimeter spotting scope, the Razor, and then I also have the pair of Razor HDs 10x42.
Nice.
Which, if you put them on the tripod, you can't get any better than that, I think, for around here, because we're not glassing, miles and miles anyway, so maybe just on the next hill or something. So I really enjoy my optics.
Yeah. What would you say is the most important piece of gear? Depending on what you're doing, the sheep hunters up north, they talk about your spotting scope is number one, because if you try to close the distance on a ram that's not full curl, it's vital to know exactly what you're looking at there. What would you say? And you say around here, you could just use binos. You don't have to take a spotting scope in the mountains in the southeast for the most part, unless you're really worried about, size and you're trying to get inches. But for the most part, you're just filling that.
Yeah, if you're trying to pick it apart or something, I can see that. For around here, just for your typical Alpine hunts, I would probably say it's a toss-up between the pack and boots. I don't know. Which I've started out with some low-end gear, and more as I grow in my, I don't want to say hunting career, but I'm going to say it, hunting career, the more top-of-the-line gear is just so much nicer. It's so much, once you put a load on, like that boned-out gear, and just cinch down, like I run a Kafaru pack, the Timberline 2, I believe. It's a 7200, so it's a pretty big pack, and it just rides so nice. And I had a Kafaru pack before that, and I just really enjoy their pack. So I would probably say the backpack. I mean, because you're packing up your camp, your food, your gun, and then if you get something when you're up there, you got to put it back on, and just to have everything not be on your shoulders, and just for everything to be balanced is really nice, and not slopping back and forth. Because I've had a off-brand pack where, and I weighed my pack when I got home. It was 103 pounds, and I shot a buck up in the Alpine, and it had some type of buckles on the backpack straps, and I took one big step down, and one of those buckles came undone, and it sent me to the right side, head over heels, and it was just, it was bad. So I didn't hurt myself, luckily, but it's just nice to have, being able to afford nice gear and being able to appreciate the quality of nice gear right now.
I started off with the $120 Cabela's frame pack.
Oh yeah.
And just single top load compartment, and it's got the waist back, and it was nice, and it carried a bear, and it carried a bunch of deer. That's totally relative for me, since I've only been hunting for 6 years. But it wasn't until I put on a Stone Glacier that I just realized again, what I'm missing. It's so nice to have just all of that. And when I was trying to choose the pack, I was looking and talking to people, and Mystery Rancher or EXO or Kafaru, and Stone Glacier I went with just because it was the only one I was able to try on.
Which is another big factor when you're making such a big purchase. I mean, that stuff is not cheap. So it's good being able to reach out via Facebook or social media and get everybody's opinion, and then just to try one on is awesome. So
and around here, there's no place to try it on, and then again, when you're going with some of those high-end brands, you can't really go wrong. Same thing with like a bow. If you get a Matthews, or you get a the upper-end Hoyt, whatever, it doesn't really, just personal preference at that point. Anything's better than the starter kit.
All depends on what you want. Everybody's different, it seems. So
what about you said footwear is also like the number one or the number two? What you hunt the extra tufts when you go up top there? Do you
no. So I like something with some ankle support. I've used Loas in the past, and just your basic leather boot, stiff, very stiff boot, excellent ankle support. But this year, this early spring, I bought a pair of Scarpas. I think it was the Charmos, and they're a synthetic material, super light. And they flex just a little bit, but I put a bunch of miles on, just hiking around here, and then doing, just a bunch of hikes, and I've really enjoyed those. My feet stay dry, and they dry pretty darn fast for what they are. They're not super high, maybe 7 inches, but I still feel like I get excellent heel support, ankle support, and they just fit really good. So,
if it's slick, do you ever go with crampons or trekking poles, or both, or neither?
So I have a set of both. Typically, when I was like hiking Deer Mountain and the Mini Traverse, Minerva to Perseverance, I would go with just a trekking pole, and I typically leave I have a pair of Catulas, and I typically leave those at home, unless I know I'm going to be getting into like some ice or some snow or something, early spring hiking or something. So for the most part, I'll just bring my my trekking poles, which I have a set of Black Diamond. I can't remember the model, but they're the carbon fiber.
They fixed?
No.
Or I mean what's the attachment on them? Because a buddy of mine had you kind of unscrew it a little bit, whereas mine, you push a button and it kind of pulls apart and it collapses. And I've had mine in some crazy situations, whereas the fixed one that you tighten it down and it can slide and it's adjustable. Mine's not adjustable, but mine it's so strong. And my buddy broke both of his adjustable Black Diamond ones just because, I don't know, I think the flex is mixed up because it's got that point that's a little bit more stiff than the others. But which ones do you have? So
I have it's some type of, it's not the twist lock. So I think they make a twist lock, and then they make the fixed style that you have, and then I have it's some type of clamp. So I think there's 4 sections, and they're adjustable to I can't remember what they adjust to, but it's some type of clamp, and they seem to work pretty good. I haven't broken them yet, so. But yeah, they've been put to the test, and I'll use them next year, and continuing on this year. So
it's amazing how big a deal they can be.
Yeah.
Because if you just get a little bit off, or those tiny micro slips you have all the time on the Alpine, or even come down with a heavy pack and you have so much extra stress on the brakes, just a little bit of extra, another point of contact at all times is good. It can be kind of annoying when you're heading up because you're going through the brush, or whatever. But man, they're absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
The people who say, "Oh, I don't need trekking poles, I don't need crampons," all right, man. I mean, suit yourself. It's just going to make things like safer and more comfortable. I don't know why there's a need to feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason why I got them is. Supposedly, they're supposed to help your knees on the way down when you're packing out a heavy load, and I want to be able to do this when I'm in 30 more years. Yeah. So I want to save my knees. So that was a big deciding factor. I don't know if I'm using them correctly, not. So just takes time getting used to them and knowing where I like to use them. So
yeah.
But that was a big factor when I purchased mine. So.
Yeah. What about tents, Thermarest? What do you run for tent and comfort?
So I have the Thermarest Neo Air, and that's been a pretty good mat. It keeps me really warm, and it's 2.5 inches thick. The only thing that I will say, it is a little noisy, but I think that's all part of the insulation, and so I just kind of put up with it. And then for my sleeping bag, let's see here, I'm running a 30-degree bag. It's just a down bag, weighs about less than 2 pounds, so nothing super cold. I've seen these guys go up with 0-degree bags in at the end of August.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point? That thing's about the size of a beach ball. You're not going to have any room for your deer if you shoot one.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of went with a lighter bag, and then it's just a little bit bigger than my Nalgene bottle. So, and then for a tent, I'm using a Big Agnes Copper Spur 2, and I actually just got that last year I got it this year for a present. But I love that thing. I have a friend that I hunt a lot in the mountains with, and he uses the 3-person, and I absolutely love it. That weighs about 2 pounds, and it can handle not anything, but I mean, nice windstorm. I mean, it's not blowing over, and you're not breaking any tent poles. So it's worked out pretty good so far.
Nice.
What about you?
I just got a North Face a Triarch, I think is what I got. It's a 2-man tent. Replaced an REI tent that I had pretty cheap, and I like it. Have a Marmot extra long sleeping bag. It's a 15-degree I've had for 10 years or so now. It still does the job.
Oh, yeah.
Had a Thermarest. I don't know what model it was. It was one of the thin ones, and there was a little bit of a hole in it, so you can't hear the air rush out. You just got to put your hand over it and find it. Put some duct tape on it. Seemed to be holding all right. But got a hammock and camped in a hammock once. It's kind of fun if you're down in the timber. If there's enough, to be able to string it up, you're not gonna be able to do that in the Alpine.
Yeah.
And then it takes up a lot less space in the pack, which is great. But then if you start adding in the rainfly for the tent, that adds a little bit more space. So you're still, space-wise, you have more space in your pack. But then weight-wise, when you start adding everything else to it, you're almost at the same weight as the tent. So that doesn't really help. And then you have extra room in your pack, which you're going to fill with something else. Yeah. So you really don't come out of that with anything better. But I think the hammock for some low, if it's warm, maybe even close to like a truck type thing. But if you're bringing your truck, then you can pack everything you want.
Yeah. So I was listening to your last podcast on that one, and you said something about laying something underneath.
Yeah.
To kind of keep the warmth in.
Yeah, like you lose so much more because the air just rushes underneath you, and so there's nothing that can insulate. So even if you're in your tent, you have your thermarest, it's not being cooled from the bottom. Like the ground is cold, but there might be just a little bit of 1/16 of an inch or whatever that you can kind of warm up, or that can be insulated. But yeah, there's nothing to insulate you from the bottom. So even though you're in your sleeping bag, you lose so much heat from the bottom. So having a thermarest down first, or a blanket or something like that to help insulate is nice. That'd be vital. But I think going forward, I don't think I'm going to buy like a rain fly for it. That'd end up being expensive and a pain. Just it'd be a great thing when it's nice and warm in August. Setting when it doesn't get too cool. Yeah, it's just a cool thing to have.
Yeah, something to test with and experiment anyway.
Yeah, I'd tell you, it's pretty nice you can obviously sit in it right next to the campfire and shoot. It's kind of tough to beat that. But.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, when you can always convince yourself of stuff that you could need or make things better. And it's just, but it's fun to be able to have that and you're going to use it.
Yeah.
It's something that there's you're looking at places down south where you only have 3-week season, and so your entire year is just fixated on those 3 weeks and opening weekend, and there's so much pressure, and you don't get to use all the stuff that you buy up here. This 5-month season, it's just and that's just for deer. And then you got bear and everything else. So there's always something you can use it for, and it's fun that nothing's getting mildewy in the corner of the garage or whatever because you're always using it. So
that is nice.
Yeah. What else do you go for? Have you done the mountain goat or moose or elk or anything?
So I haven't done moose or elk. I got one mountain goat probably about 6 years ago now.
Is that on one of the nice permit tags or the over the counter?
The registration over the counter. So buddy and I, we went up and did that. It wasn't a big goat. Learned a lot from that trip because I was still inexperienced. So that was a fun one to go up, and we packed the kitchen sink. I mean, it was we had a hatchet for making fires, and I'm wondering what the heck we're doing. And we ended up getting a goat, and it was a lot of fun. We were pretty cold, camping on the side of the mountain. I think it was late September maybe. So that was a lot of fun. Deer mainly. Went out and shot a few ducks last year. Of course, the fishing. Next year, a friend and I, we're gonna go up and try our hand at a sheep hunt. So, nice. and of course, always make my donations for the draw hunts around here. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, sheep, man. I would love to do that. Buddy of mine up there. There's some good territory for over the counter stuff if you're willing to get back there and put in some work and have the time to do it. I also like to do the moose hunt. You get so much meat, and man, a moose burger is really tough to beat.
I agree with that. Yeah,
it's just so hard down here because you're not on the road system. So while the deer hunting is amazing and the bear hunting is amazing, you can't drive a couple extra hours to get to caribou territory or get to grizzly bear. So that's one disadvantage of being in Southeast, but it's pretty dang cold up there. And if you're in the interior, you're not going to have the same fishing as here. So there's really no part of Alaska that's better than the other overall, just a matter of what you prefer. Yep. So I have some buddies in the interior that love it there, and they just would not change it because even though it's -30, at least it's sunny.
That is
down here, it's a lot warmer, but it's gray and rainy.
Yeah, you got to give and take.
Yeah. But the fact that we can just go pick up a tag, it's free.
That's pretty
go
nice.
Just go get your moose tag, go get your caribou, and that's something special, man. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, so you're going on a moose hunt next year? Planning on one?
Yeah, there's an early season moose hunt a buddy of mine was telling me about. That's bow only, and that's in August, which coincides with an over-the-counter ram hunt. So August being the time that I can go because I got school. It's tough to take a week off in September. So I think we're going to kind of play it by ear. I'm going to practice with the bow to get ready for a moose, but the sheep is rifle. Yeah. So I think as we get close, it'll be almost a game time decision. See what the weather's going to be. If it's going to be terrible and we're not going to be able to get up in the mountains and make a good hunt for sheep, then we'll turn it into a moose hunt with the bow.
Plan B. That's good.
Yeah, if it was clear, it'd be hard to choose one or the other. Like, I've always wanted a moose, and the chance of getting a big moose would be awesome, especially with the bow.
Oh, yeah.
But how do you ever turn down adult sheep?
Ooh. Yeah, there's so much to do, such little time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good.
You thinking about bow hunting for that sheep, or are you gonna rifle?
Definitely gonna do a rifle. I've hemmed and hawed at just bringing the bow just to see, but I think for my first, which I'll probably change my mind at the last minute, who knows? Especially if I get a new bow. So,
it's gonna happen now because it's already creeping in there. Say if I get a new bow, that's stage one of I'm getting it.
I already want to go do that Edelin archery hunt. So I don't know. We'll see. Got a lot of plans. I got to see what actually happens. Who knows? Maybe it'll rain all year next year. But as far as the sheep, we plan on hunting it rifle. My friend, he doesn't shoot bow, so we have a couple backup, or our main plan right now is hopefully we get a draw tag, and if we don't get that, then we have then we already have some reservations to fly in. So either way we're gonna go. Just depends on which weapon I want to take. So. But I'm leaning towards the rifle just to get the hang of things, being in new territory. Could all be a little overwhelming if I did bring the bow, so probably just stick with the rifle. Yeah,
I think it'd be torture to see just a really nice ram of your dreams at like 120. Just total rifle range, but just an absolute poke with the bow. I was listening to a podcast and they're talking about how things compare, and people are trying to take shots that are 80 to 100 yards with a bow. That's like shooting, 800 to 1,000 yards with the rifle, just as far as all the other things that come into consideration, into play, those variables from that distance. So, I think with the sheep, I would go rifle.
Yeah, I think there is an archery sheep hunt somewhere up there. I'm in the process of doing more research, but that's for down the line once I get more years under my belt. So we'll just have to play it by season and see how that goes. So, but it would be a lot of fun. But I think you need a little bit more than 8 days is what we're planning on actually hunting. So because those things. Whew.
Yeah. It seems like everybody that has the video that they're posting, it always happens on the last day. My buddy Steve got his moose 2 years in a row, got it within the first 2 days, which is awesome. They started their float and then right off the bat there, but usually it seems like it's always the last day, last hour sort of thing.
Yeah.
You never know. You're out there long enough, you end up getting lucky. So
you
just got to put in the time.
Yeah, we're going to be looking for our first legal rams, and then hopefully take the opportunity. So it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a learning curve and an adventure for sure. So
cool. Yeah. Any closing thoughts or any advice for people who are just getting into the bow hunting game or deer hunting game or in Southeast?
Definitely do your research. I mean, if you're not from around here, then it rains a lot. So definitely practice or test your gear. Rain gear's a must. Although, except for this August, I actually didn't bring it on some hunts. But this is an off year. This is a summer to remember for sure. Yeah. I can't remember the last time we had this much sun. So, just test your gear. And I'm kind of leaning towards the buy once, cry once. So that's kind of been tough to beat. So just spend the money and get the good gear the first time, and just do your research, the area that you're going to go to. So,
all right, man. Thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.